Frida Borisovna, President of the World Congress of the Mountain Jewish Women, Deputy Chairman of the Union of Writers of Mountain Jews, expert, author, and she has a lot of dignities, and we are very pleased to hear you.
אפשר אני מדבר מפה?
בבקשה.
תודה רבה. סלאם, עזיזלרים. תודה רבה. שלום, יקרים וחברים יקרים.
Hello, dear friends. I would like to say in the Jahuri language,
dear friends, my today's presentation will be made in Russian language. I hope the presentation's been put up on the screen by now. The clothing and the decorations of the mountain Jews in Caucasus, and we have a lot of different geographic regions in the East Asia and Europe reflected in the clothing. Lately, whichever country our Caucasian women would live in, they would they clothe in beautiful clothes and garments from boutiques and so on. They wear footwear and accessories named after Christian Dior, Valentina, Chanel, and other brand names. I would like to deviate a little bit from my presentation, and I'd like to say that I got married back in 1966, and in the archive of my mother-in-law we found the perfume dated back to 1875. Now look up to the screen, please. The Oriental women were using with perfumes and perfume oils, they would accentuate their eyebrows, their eyelashes. They would use the cosmetic. They would mark artificial. They would use the cosmetic pencils, and they would also use about 1,000 years ago, the women of Azerbaijan they would start using the traditions of depilation. They would, or waxing. They would use white clay to wash their head, and some other types of clay would be used to wash their clothes. The poorer segments of population would use the ash. They would use ashes. They would mix it with water, and then they would wash their head as well as their clothes with this mix of water and ash. They would also use ash to cure the wounds. Elderly women never stepped aside, deviated from their traditions. For centuries, they used to wear darkish garments and clothes. When it came to their headwear, they would be made of silk. Throughout all centuries, it wasn't important. There was no difference in terms of what the head was covered by. The most important thing had to do with the fact that their heads had to be covered. Many mountainous, many ladies from among the mountainous Jews are preferring to wear a large shawl. In the larger cities from mid 19th century, they started to use the dark overcoat. The simplicity of decoration, the simplicity and at the same time the complexity of decoration marked the clothing and garments of mountainous Jews in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan had a lot of its own textile materials and textile products, so there was enough of fabric to use, and also the Russian kumach was also began to be used since late 19th century here. Also, they would also use salico from the city of Astrakhan. Also, I'd like to tell you a little bit about the ladies and male and female underwear. The richer families would use cambric and some other more expensive types of fabric. Regardless of what the clothing was made of, it was very free, with short or long sleeves that would have certain buttons at the end. Quite recently, our grandmothers and grandmothers would use chuhum, mashnu. Their upper garments was the most popular in Azerbaijan, but it was very richly decorated and decored with the tubed the tubed beds, and also it was decorated with fur. Chuha, beshmet, kaftan, kaba, kabzol, and surtuk were the different types of the outward garment. Also, women used to wear they would wear festive garments. I'm giving you the ancient words for you to remember them. Their sleeves were slightly widening at the end. The garment was handmade using the expensive parcha, zarhara, and also natural silks, shahnas naznaze, with barked dafta and krepdashin with ornaments. They would decorate them with tubed silver and gold bells, and it would be buttoned using charpas, the silver or gold buckle, and an important detail of the female outward appearance had to do with shorers, and they called shalvar with different with brushes at the end, and it was held by a braid. It was also decorated by the beds. It was handmade. Special sewers called darziho would handmade these garments using 16 to 24 different types of fabrics, including very fine silk. Lots of elderly women, when talking about their childhood, being reminiscent of their childhood, they remember. They say how they would play with their grandmothers, and they would they would creep from one pant over to the other pant. You can only imagine the size of the pants that they used to wear back then. On top of the underwear, the woman would also wear a very large and short with vertical slit down to the waist or to the belt. Young women would wear shirt of red, purple colors, whereas older women's shirts would be darker in terms of their color, and they would also have coins on them, embroidered with golden golden fringe. The upfront side had to hold up their breasts. That's why they were made very specifically out of the velvet. They would be they were also embroidered with marten and fur. It was a very fine work with gold and silver. They were also decorated with semi precious stones or gems, with the belt that was also decorated by the gold and silver coins. Azerbaijani Kumach masters worked out a huge number of different decorations made of silver and gold, including bracelets and earrings and rings. The female jewelry was a very important part of the garments and clothing. It's important to note that the children's traditional clothes were very interesting. It's very difficult to describe an amazing children's clothing. After weaning children from the mother's breast, they would be provided with child's clothes, which were made from shoulder to shoulder and such shirts were very comfortable, and they were made of very expensive fabrics with cotton lining. All of those shirts had cotton lining, and they would also hang brushes, coral brushes on those shirts. They also included the gusset. Sometimes such gusset would be sewn into the shirt or into the dress of a child that was long prayed for. I will stop here, and tomorrow I will continue my presentation. Thank you very much.